Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. The director for Alien Earth has been doing the rounds, lots of interviews, lots of new images, and in there are little tidbits of information, but also there are some sort of elements to do with the creative process in this chap's interviews now. So we're going to be covering another puff piece, I guess you could call it that. It's not really, it's actually quite a good interview to be fair. This, I think, is interesting to do because it'll either validate, that it's not right for you, or validate that it is right for you to watch this. And maybe those fence sitters can decide either way. These are interesting to cover on the lead up to some of these series and movies. So let's dive right into it. It's Alien. You guys know I love my Alien stuff, so I'm almost duty bound, honor bound to cover it. So yeah, hit subscribe if you're new here. Do turn those bell notifications on. And let's dive right into it. So this is on AV Club. They had an interview with Noah Hawley. And like I said, he's saying the right stuff, right? This is a headline. Noah Hawley wants Alien Earth to feel like watching the original movie for the first time. I mean, that's the right thing, isn't it? I'm sure people want that. And it says this: the creator of FX's sci-fi thriller talks corporate greed, fan service versus art, and balancing scares and drama. So again, like I said, this may validate to you that you are either right in avoiding this or right in watching it. Some of this stuff is interesting. So let's take a look. Alien underlines its spooky atmospherics right from the jump. In the 1979 film's opening scene, a commercial vessel floats in vast, dark space, and an eerie silence is cut by the sound of whirring machines. A beautiful opener. I watched Alien again. I say Alien, I've watched it a lot. But I did watch it again, one of my yearly rewatches of it. And it's just it is expertly crafted. It's a wonderful opening sequence. You sort of get such a feel for what's going on in such a small amount of time with so little being said. Flickering lights and ominous background music. In doing so, director Ridley Scott set the tone for not just this sci-fi horror thriller, but the long-running movie franchise it would spawn. Soon, the saga will make its way to TV, where Fargo creator Noah Hawley once again spins a big-screen property into an episodic tale, and with a similarly enviable cast to boot. So Hawley's primary goal with Alien Earth, he tells the AV Club, is to evoke the feeling of first watching the original film in the theatres decades ago. As the Nostromo's crew fight for their lives after coming into contact with a dangerous species. But what happens when the Xenomorphs descend on the green planet, where they can attack millions against the backdrop of lush forests and burgeoning industrial cities, is that when we find out humans, with their corporate greed, have been the real monsters all along. And that was kind of, that was an element which was teased, of course, even in the first movie. I don't know which, well, actually, in the second one, I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them effing each other over for, was it like a bonus or something like that, I think they said. But the first one was all about the bonus and the company throwing away life. So it still had corporate greed versus the alien monster themselves. So it says this: that's the question the FX drama Alien Earth will attempt to unpack when it kicks off August 12th. The show's premiere brings us to Earth in 2120, 2 years before the events of Scott's movie. And there are 5 conglomerates that rule the globe: Prodigy, Lynch, Dynamic, Threshold, and of course Weyland-Yutani. While synths and cyborgs are thriving, Prodigy's CEO develops a hybrid, a synthetic robot with human consciousness. This prototype is Wendy, played by Sydney Chandler, who becomes the audience's gateway into Alien Earth's terrors. So let's see what they said. So AV Club asked, what was compelling about setting the series before the events of Alien? Were you worried about how you tie it to the film? Very interesting question, hey? Yeah. After 7 Alien movies now, it's kind of a busy highway on some level, timeline-wise. It felt like the way to give myself the most leeway as a storyteller was to take myself out of the traffic and put myself in a standalone place in which I could explore the mythology of Earth and humanity in this franchise. That aspect has been underserved in the films, with questions like, what's the government on Earth like? And do we get along, or have we solved our problems? We know various corporations have succeeded, but that standalone spot allowed me to tell my story. So, yeah, didn't really answer that question, to be honest. I will say this. One of my major concerns about this this series, is the fact that I do know Fede Alvarez reached out to Noah Hawley and was trying to coordinate with him some kind of lore, because obviously Fede made Alien Romulus, Noah Hawley's making Alien Earth, and Fede did try to reach out to him to coordinate this so they didn't step on each other's toes, and Noah Hawley effectively ignored him. So, not great, and that does have me worried ever so slightly. So, speaking of how much the show will be about these 5 companies that have taken over the planet versus the gory stuff, or how much of the show, basically saying, are the corporations or the companies the focus, or is the Xenomorph the focus? So he says this, my take on it is the same as when I did Legion. In that case, if you take the superpowers out of it, what's the show? For this one, if we take the creatures out of Alien Earth, is it a show? Is it a drama? Are there characters you're invested in? If you build a great drama and then add the monsters into it, now you've elevated it. If all you have is monsters, you'd better have 400 minutes of the most exciting creature stories ever told. But if it works dramatically, the creatures can be a tool in exploring the larger themes of the show, as well as adding horror, action, and all these elements. And I completely agree with that. I think that's actually the way forward. You know, the reason why we like Alien so much isn't because of the alien itself, although that is clearly a massive factor. But you like Alien because you like Ellen Ripley, and you want her to succeed, and you want all of the crew of the Nostromo to effectively succeed. You're bought into their struggle against the alien. And the same with Aliens, right? You're bought into the universe wholesale. The aliens are tools to discuss a greater thing. They're still obviously the main focus, and they should be the main focus. But horror creatures and horror icons aren't icons because they are front and center. They're actually iconic, generally speaking, because you don't really see that many of them. Take the Cenobites from Hellraiser, for instance. Barely any screen time. And actually not really the villains. Kind of are the villains, but not really. Frank is actually the villain of Hellraiser. So, yeah, I do agree with this. I agree with his reply there. AV Club asks, why is Sydney Chandler's Wendy, who has human consciousness in her synthetic body, the essential lens for the story? On some level, science fiction has one main question, and that question is whether humanity deserves to survive. In all these stories of the first contact, or going out into the universe and meeting species that are either smarter than us or more deadly than us, the issue for me then become to explore humanity at its best and its worst. Sydney's character is humanity at its best, most innocent yet bravest in many ways. Wendy is someone who holds other humans to account for lying, cheating, stealing, bad behaviour, manipulating each other, and trying to own other people. All those sorts of things. Too often in this world, we're told that life is too complicated to make simple choices, but it's either good or bad at the end of the day. We either deserve to survive or we don't. So that's her goal as a proxy for us, which is to ask, I don't know, these creatures are bad, but what about this guy? There's a line in the second movie, I think, which is something like, at least the aliens don't F each other over for a percentage. So that's the sweet spot where the show lives. If Wendy represents the best of humanity, which character might represent the worst? I don't think I'm breaking ground when I say you've got to follow the money. The richer someone is, the less benevolent they probably are. So he's talking about Boy Cavalier, who is the head of Prodigy Corporation there, I would imagine. Can you talk about assembling the large cast? It ranges from established stars like Timothy Oliphant and Essie Davies to your previous Fargo collaborators David Riesdahl and Reacher Marchant, to Hollywood newcomers like Adarsh Gourav. Yep, Alien Earth has a very international cast. It happened organically with someone like Adarsh Gourav. When I saw his work in The White Tiger, I couldn't believe the performance that he gave. He's the only actor I thought about for this character, slightly. On some level, the journey he took as the most innocent person to ever live to basically becoming a monster required such a brilliant performance. Adarsh's character here is someone who has to make some impossible moral choices and carry a lot of the weight in this first season of the things that people do to each other. The things that make you wonder if the human monsters are worse than the other monsters. Darsh's work in The White Tiger showed me he could carry that, and he certainly did. Did you think of bringing any familiar faces from the movie back? Alien Romulus added in Ian Holmes' Ash with digital effects. No, I'm sort of outside the timeline, so I didn't think about bringing anyone back from those films. I'm liberated from that, but you're not. You're actually not. It's a dangerous... yeah, you're not. That's a dumb comment to make. It's a dangerous world, the fan service of it compared to an artist's ability to tell their story. I think there's something very satisfying in a Star Wars movie to seeing Han Solo again, right? But this story wasn't built on the timeline to be able to take advantage of the surviving characters from that franchise. Not many people survive in Alien movie. Even Ripley didn't survive. What? In an Alien movie, I was right, yeah. Well, I mean, she didn't. Are there any elements of the show that people might not expect or that you're excited to bring into this well-established franchise? I did not set out to be someone who reinvents classic movies as television shows. My job, as I have also discovered with Fargo, is to figure out what the original movie makes me feel and why, and then recreate that feeling for you. My hope, without saying too much about the show, is that there's one thing I do know, and that is why the original movie could never be done again. But I think we found a way to create that feeling of awe in you that only that original movie could create. So that's my hope, is that the real innovation here is to take everyone back to that place in 1979, or whenever you watched it, so you can go, oh my god, I can't believe how much that's creeping me out. So there you go. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I think some of his comments about, well, I'm not tied to anything. I mean, shut up. That's dumb. You are. But okay, whatever. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Let me know all your thoughts. Take care. Bye-bye now.